Longhorn fans, Sooner Nation, welcome to episode 73 of the Bevo Podcast, the only podcast exclusively dedicated to covering the greatest rivalry in college football: University of Oklahoma, University of Texas. Kevin, eyes right now are on Rome, Italy, where as of this very moment, the Ryder Cup was just lost to Europe. Your eyes and the eyes of Texas fans are on London, England, where Bijan Robinson is trying to overcome the terrible play of his quarterback, Desmond Ridder, to rally the troops in London. But all of that, Kevin, pales in comparison to what's going to happen 6 days from now in Dallas, Texas. The greatest rivalry in college football will kick off at 11 a.m. The 5-0 Texas Longhorns, led by Quinn Ewers and the offensive magic of Steve Sarkisian, will go up against Danny Stutzman and the defensive brilliance that is Brent Venables. Kevin, there is 6 days away. I know we've got other games to talk about. I know we've got last night's games to talk about. I care not. Because in 6 days, Kevin, the fate of the season, nay, the fate of my life, may be determined on October 7th in Dallas. What are your initial thoughts on this game?
Hook 'em, baby. That's my initial thoughts. Let's go.
Hook 'em, he says.
Let's go, man. This is why we do this, right?
Oh, my God, dude. Listen, it was a little sketchy. And I was never really worried about y'all, especially when Jalen Daniels rolls out limp, but can't even play. Oklahoma lets 2 stupid touchdowns come in, and I'm thinking, oh my God, don't ruin this beautiful moment that is. The defense steps up. Kevin, I am ready, dude. I am ready. I cannot tell you how ready I am. I think this is going to be a titanic matchup. I think the winner of this game, and I'm not speaking in a hyperbole here, even if it's Oklahoma, has a rightful shot at number 1 team in the country because everybody else sucks right now, Kevin. They suck. Yeah. We are the 2 hottest teams in the country meeting each other next week.
Yeah, I mean, Georgia has struggled, right? They keep winning, so we give them credit. But they haven't looked impressive really at all this season. Michigan looks up and down, right? Again, they keep winning too. They just haven't looked very good doing it. So, yes,
I don't know.
Texas and OU look very good right now. And it's great that we get to settle it on the field. Let's go.
I beg to differ. Michigan beats Nebraska 45-7.
That's
45.
True.
That's the first.
The week before, they didn't look good.
No, they didn't look good. And that's the first real Michigan win where I was like, oh, okay. I guess they're about to decide to start playing now.
Is Nebraska, though,
no, they're terrible.
Yeah.
No, they're terrible. They're terrible. Their offense is terrible. They're not. That's not a measuring stick, but at least Michigan beat them down. At least they beat them down.
Exactly. They didn't play down to their competition.
You said it. Georgia over Auburn. Man, dude, this game was coming on. This game was ending right as the OU game was coming on last night. I was pulling so hard for Auburn. Their big tight end, Georgia's big tight end, made just a hell of a play to win that game. That guy, I don't know that Georgia is all that in a bag of chips. I mean, we know how good they are defensively, but that tight end is fantastic.
He has been, and he has been since the moment he stepped on campus. I mean, he was their leading receiver as a true freshman. It's pretty unbelievable, man. So he's going to be one of those guys that's hard for them to replace, despite how well they recruit. You just don't find guys like that at that position who can make an impact.
Is Georgia feeling the loss of A.D. Mitchell?
You know what? He was always up and down for them. He had a ton of injuries while he was there, but he was that one real big playmaker at the receiver position when he was healthy. They got the Ladd McConkey kid who's pretty good, but he was always a big playmaker, especially once they got into the college football playoff. I mean, he scored in all 4 games that he played in, college football playoff games. So I think they do miss that. They just need somebody to step up at the receiver position and be that real go-to guy, because teams are going to do everything they can to keep Brock Bowers from taking over. Auburn, unfortunately, just couldn't do it down the stretch, especially in that fourth. We have 121 yards receiving in the fourth quarter.
I was about to say, dude, it might not be enough. They might do everything they can to stop Bowers, and it might not be enough. Utah falls off the mountain in the Pac-12, going down 21-7. You
Yeah, we
called it.
talked about this.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, eventually, I don't care how good your defense is, you got to be able to score points. And without Cam Rising, they just haven't been able to score consistently. And going into Oregon State in that environment against that team, Oregon State has a good football team. DJ and the offense did just enough to get them the lead, and that was it.
Your boy Michael Penix beat Arizona, but not as big as we would have thought. 31-24, but they stay undefeated.
They were up early, pretty high. I think they were up like 31-10 or something like that. And then they didn't really score much in the second half. And Arizona did put on a little comeback. So it'll be interesting to see. But they handle business on the road. Not an easy place to play.
Well, it is starting to be that time of year. And it kind of sneaks up on us, right? It sneaks up on college football fan where the games get tighter just because. Whether it's certain players are nicked up, whether it's familiarity with your opponents, but games get tighter. And we're getting into, I mean, dude, it's week 6. It's week 6 already, right?
Yeah,
we are recapping week 5. It is week 6. And you're starting to see the games tighten up. And I think that Washington Arizona game is an example of that. And now you're starting to get into a just win mentality. I mean, let's face it. Oklahoma and Texas are going to play here in 6 days. I don't care if we win 2-0, 51-50.
You don't have to have style points. Correct.
No, none of it matters anymore. You're just trying to win the game that's in front of you.
Surviving advance. NCAA tournament style.
Speaking of surviving and advancing, USC survives a furious rally against Colorado. You know I was pulling for Colorado. They just didn't have enough in the tank after getting a slow start against SC in the first half.
Yeah. It was a slow start that really killed him, right? Caleb Williams, I mean, this guy continues to show why he is by far the best player in college football. Some of the throws that he was making. The thing about Colorado's defense is they weren't a ton of busts. The coverage was I never saw guys running down the field. You know how Lincoln Riley's scheme can be, right? He can get guys just running down the field wide open. I never saw any busts. It's just that he's so good, even when guys are covered well, he can just put it in the perfect spot to not only where the guy can catch it, but he can catch it and keep running, turn upfield, and keep going for more yards. So, again, great comeback attempt by Shedeur Sanders and the rest of the Colorado offense. They had some playmakers emerge. Omarion Miller kind of got his first action of the season, had about 196 yards receiving. So that's something to watch looking forward. Also, the freshman corner, the 5-star corner, Cormani McClain, finally got onto the field. Deion's been pretty candid about him and his struggles, saying he needs to prepare better. He needs to watch film. He needs to start taking the game a little bit more seriously before I put him on the field. Again, showing why Deion is an old school coach, right? This is a 5-star corner out of the state of Florida.
Kevin, that sounds bombastic. It sounds way out there, and I don't appreciate where Deion's coming from. He's ruining the game.
Old school coach, man. He said, hey, look, no, he will play when he's ready to play and when he prepares properly. And apparently he's doing that because he got out there and he made an impact. It'll be interesting to see what happens with them going forward.
For the record, the Boomer Bevo podcast has been on Coach Prime's team since back in the spring. I like what he's doing there. Even at 48-41, Colorado of last year doesn't score against USC. So we got to you have to keep things in perspective. They won one game. They still have a winning record, played the number 5 or 6 team, depending on rankings, to within a score. So, no, absolutely. I still think they're doing a good job. I think you have Travis Hunter. Maybe that game changes, but it doesn't change too much, I don't think, because USC has Caleb Williams. I'm going to throw this question at you. We didn't prep this question, but I was thinking about it when you were talking. Caleb Williams, best pro quarterback prospect since who?
I mean, maybe Andrew Luck.
Wow. I mean, and I think we think he's better than Andrew Luck, right?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. But as far as a guy who was seen as a can't miss type of prospect, right? The one who had it all.
You know, Mahomes was a ninth draft pick.
He was like the 9th or 10th pick. Yeah.
And I don't think anybody thought. I mean, he didn't even start until his second season, right?
And so we saw Mahomes at Texas Tech. Caleb Williams is better than what we saw from Mahomes at Texas Tech.
Oh,
it's not even close.
And we love, I mean, and Mahomes is the standard bearer right now in the NFL, but in
Correct. Yes. And
college,
he's known as one of the most talented quarterbacks we've ever seen in the NFL.
yeah.
But at Texas
But
Tech, no way. It's not close.
Andrew Luck, dude, I was almost wondering if you went further back. Like if you
How
went
far
back
back are we
to
talking? Peyton Manning?
Peyton Manning, that's what
Okay.
I was wondering, is because, coming out of college, Peyton didn't win the Heisman, obviously, but there was still that sense that he's the best quarterback,
Yeah. Yeah, this guy's
um,
ready made for the NFL.
whoever gets Caleb Williams is instantly better next year and probably coached by Lincoln Riley. So, Oregon beats down Stanford. They look really, really good. Notre Dame, Duke, Notre Dame 21-14 over Duke. That ended up being a win and cover for you. Notre Dame's fine, but they're not a college playoff team, at least
Yeah,
in my
it's just
opinion.
their offense. Their offense is good. Obviously, the defense is good. It's been good all season. But man, it took remember they were down. Remember they were up first. It was 10-0. They were up or 13-0 even. And then Duke comes back, scores twice to take the lead. So it took them going down the field and scoring, getting a 2-point conversion to get the win. So I thought it was a gritty win by them on the road against a good Duke team. I think we can say Duke is legit now, right?
Good
As a
team. They're
football
a good
team.
team. Yeah.
Yeah. So to go down there, again, it wasn't pretty, but you'll take the win on the road against a good team.
Alabama continues to reestablish the world order with another win against Mississippi State, 40-17. However, in a game that we picked, Ole Miss versus LSU, Ole Miss scores 21 points in the fourth quarter to upset the LSU Tigers, essentially eliminating them from college football playoff chances. You did not see that coming. I just did not trust LSU's defense, especially after seeing them against Arkansas, and then that's validated here against.
Yeah, you were right about that. You were spot on with that. I thought that Ole Miss was done from a mental standpoint after that heartbreaking loss against Alabama, where they just did not play well. But man, they from the jump, they came out and just jumped all over LSU. Daniels was incredible on the other side for LSU, but man, that defense was bad. I mean, everything about it, for both teams. The tackling was bad, the coverage was bad. The offense did whatever you want. This looked like a Texas Tech against OU game back in 2017 or 2016, whatever year that was.
Well, I mean, you look at this score. This is not an SEC score. This is a Big
No.
12 score circa 2011 or something, 2015. So it's odd to see, well, especially LSU. If I'm LSU fan, I'm sitting there going, hey, look, offensively great. We're happy to have it, but we've won before on defense. We've won our championships with defense. That is not a defensive effort. They haven't really had one all year.
And then, when they won with the Joe Burrow team, that defense wasn't elite, but it was still good enough, right? A couple teams lit them up. Texas lit them up early in the season. But as the season went on, they got better. They're regressing defensively. And I don't know what it is, man. They're going to have to attack the portal. I don't know if it's the coordinator or what the deal is, but this is not the type of defense you expect to see from LSU, especially in the secondary.
In the topsy-turvy SEC East, Tennessee beats South Carolina 41-20. Kentucky takes down Florida 33-14. Apparently, the Kentucky fans drank enough beer to drown the Florida Gators.
Well, I think their running back Davis had a lot to do with that. 280 plus yards rushing.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I just don't know about this Florida team, man.
Kevin, let's just take a minute. We're going to be in the SEC next year, but we're not yet. So we can bash them a little bit, right? We can where is the defense in the SEC? Is it all in Georgia? Did they just get all?
Yeah, Georgia
and Alabama.
Alabama is pretty good. That seems about it so far. Yeah. I guess this Kentucky defense was okay. You hold Florida to 14. But no, man.
Missouri, who was ranked heading into the week, beats Vanderbilt 38-21. In Big 12 play, BYU gets the win against Cincinnati. Those teams, they did not look good, though. Even though it's 35-27, I mean, I feel bad saying this, but you felt like you were watching a MAC game or whatever. It just didn't feel like a big-time football game.
Mm-hmm.
Or, to be fair, it felt like a Big 12 game from about, 5 or 6 years ago when we weren't any good. It doesn't look like we're that good right now. Texas Tech does beat Houston after a slow start, 49-28. A great game. I don't know how high level the play was, but a great game. Did you see the end of the Baylor UCF game?
I didn't see it, but I heard about it. 26 points in the fourth quarter for Baylor. What are we talking about here?
Well, I don't know, because we know Baylor can barely put up they put up 6 against Texas. So to get up that many points in the fourth quarter, I don't know. UCF had a shot at the end.
Well, remember they were up. Weren't they up 35-7?
Yeah, but did you see did you at least see the play on 4th and 5 where the quarterback ran all over the world? Did you see this?
I did not.
It's 4th and 5, final play, final drive of the game, and I'm going to say they're like I'm trying to remember it. They're probably like at their own 45, so they got to get to the 50. Let's say those aren't exact numbers, but they got to get to the 50, right? He takes a snap, gets pressure, literally scrambles all the way to the goal line. Kevin, they are chasing him in the goal line. They got a chance at a safety, and he then runs up the sideline and is able to complete a pass for a first down. It was crazy. You thought at that point that maybe UCF had a chance, but Baylor pulls off the win. West Virginia.
UCF still looking for their first Big 12 win, 0-2 so far.
I know, and we thought they were good. People thought they were going to be good. That was the Gus Malzahn-led team. West Virginia beats TCU. The mighty have fallen. And then outside of that, the other game of interest for us that we cared about was A&M Arkansas. A&M did win. You were right on with A&M. That takes us to our picks. I went 3-2 this week. Colorado covering, Ole Miss winning and covering. I had a loss at Notre Dame, loss at Texas, OU with the win. You went 4-1, Colorado. Your only loss was the Ole Miss against LSU, but you won with Notre Dame, won with Texas, won with Oklahoma. You are at a healthy 15-9-1. I'm at 13-11-1. And again, I say it every week. If you're paying for the service, stop paying for the service. Just listen to the Boomer Bevo podcast, and you will win money. It's that simple, Kevin. That's what we're here for.
Yes, but please bet responsibly.
What's the early line on the Texas game?
I've seen a few different lines. I've seen anywhere from 7 at the highest, Texas favored by 7, down to Texas favored by 4.
Well, let's just.
That was last night when I checked.
The only game listed on DraftKings, well, there's 2 games, is Texas, Oklahoma, and Colorado, Arizona State. Oklahoma getting 5.5, Texas giving 5.5. They do not have an over/under listed yet.
Okay.
As just for the record, for the Boomer Bevo fans that are just joining us this year, Kevin and I place gentlemen's bets with each other on the Oklahoma Tech. There's no spreads involved. We don't care about winning money. We care about winning the game. And this has been the case now for what, 6 years, 7 years, Kevin?
This will be year 6.
Year 6. So I have had the upper hand, obviously, but last year Kevin won. So just be prepared when we make our picks, which we don't know when we're going to make our picks. Kevin wants to do less episodes of the Boomer Bevo podcast this week. I want to do more episodes of the Boomer. I would like to do an episode every 3 hours. Is that reasonable?
All 12. I mean, we do have jobs outside of this, but if you can make that work, then hey, I'm all for it. I can talk about Texas and Oklahoma football all day, every day. This could be a full-time job for me.
I have taken vacation this week with the sincere goal of doing nothing but caring about this game. 5.5 points, though, that line has considerably shrunk over the course of the season. Texas had, I think, opened up at a double digit, especially following the Bama game. As this game gets closer, OU fans notoriously drop a lot of money on Oklahoma because we're homers and all the things like that. Do you anticipate this line getting tighter or wider as the week progresses?
I see no reason why it'll get wider, right? I mean, unless some news comes out about some sort of injury from OU. Other than that, I think it'll stay where it is. If anything, it'll get a little bit tighter.
Update us all on the health of Jatavian Saunders. He left. I don't know. Did he leave the game for real? I mean,
he did. He got
rolled up.
Yeah, he got rolled up on while he was blocking. Didn't look good. Okay.
No.
Sark said after the game that we hope to have him back this week. It'll just be how he responds to the treatment. There's nothing structurally wrong with it, but I mean, he did get rolled up on pretty bad. So we'll see. I'm hopeful, but I don't know. It just didn't look good, man. It didn't look good. It's a huge, huge loss if that's the case.
At this point in the season, that's the biggest injury, knock on wood, for either team, right? Up until then, we were both going to enter into this contest as healthy as could be expected after a 5 week schedule, a 5 week schedule.
Justin Harrington is out, right? I heard
that's
he
right.
had ACL.
That's right. You're right. I forgot about our boy.
What I hate to see that, by the way, because I know he was playing good, and I know the coaches. And I know Teddy Lehman loves that kid. We've been talking about him all season.
He is really good, and regardless of what I'm about to say, the competitive depth is needed. I just really like what Dasan McCullough is doing in that cheetah position. The guy is so long. I guess I didn't realize like the length he was going to bring to the defensive backfield / secondary. He's just a long, rangy player.
Yeah, correct. I mean, he's 6'3" with long arms. And just a very fluid athlete. So
to see him in that cheetah position, was he I guess we won't know now, at least for the rest of the year, whether he was rangier or better than Justin Harrington was going to be. But boy, that's if losing Harrington means I have to see more Dasan McCullough, I can live with it. You
can live with it, yeah.
But
you just hate it for the kid.
Dude, it's more than yeah. I hate it for. Listen, we said this about the Connor Wegman kid from A&M. And I mean it. On Boomer Bevo week, I want to see Texas at their best, right? I don't want to see Jatavian Sanders out there with no pads on.
Yeah, felt the same way about Gabriel last year.
Yeah,
I did not like seeing Davis Bevel rolled out there and you guys having to run the Wildcat.
No, speaking of Dasan McCullough, I want to see McCullough go up against Jatavian Sanders. That's the matchup I want to see. We've been talking about.
You want to see that?
Yes, I absolutely want to see it. I want to see our secondary against your receivers.
I'm just talking about that particular matchup. The secondary and the receivers. Okay.
I absolutely want to see that. Dasan McCullough's an absolute stud. Line him up on Jatavian Sanders and eliminate him from the game.
Okay.
Dude, I hope. Are you saying okay? Man. I hope he comes back.
Man, listen.
Bring back Jatavian Sanders.
Listen, I like what your defense is doing.
Hey, get
send him to Germany. Send him to Germany and get that STEM treatment that a lot of the athletes get.
You don't need STEM treatment. What are you talking? You're in Texas. You get Bud Kilmer, okay? You get Bud Kilmer, you lay him on the table, and you shoot him up. What are we talking about?
No, the STEM stuff, man. It's not even legal in the U.S., and the players go to Germany and get this stuff done. Kobe Bryant did it on a couple of his injuries.
Listen, I can't believe it. I did not think 22 minutes in I was going to get this fired up. But for you to question the ability of Dasan McCullough to cover Jatavian Sanders is insulting.
I am absolutely. Are you serious?
I'm insulted. That's what you just said.
Listen, I like your secondary. I like your secondary. But no, Dasan McCullough cannot cover Jatavian Sanders. What are you talking about?
What is happening? What world are you living in? That dude's a stud, dude.
He is, but he can't cover.
Listen. The reason you're upset that Justin Harrington isn't playing is because McCullough has to now line up against Sanders, and that's going to shut him down. That's what you're upset about. That is what you're upset about. Okay, look, timeout. I win that argument. That's fine. We'll go on to the next
game plan is going to be to get Dasan McCullough isolated in coverage.
Sark's game plan is
part of his game plan
is to put the ball in Quinn Ewer's hands and let our defensive secondary light him up. We have 11 or 12 interceptions this year already. Billy Bowman with his first pick six of his career. Forget about it, dude.
Well, first of all, shout out to Billy Bowman. I think he's a great player.
Great play.
Great play. He should be playing for Texas, first of all.
Is that the second biggest catch of his life behind catching Jada Coleman? She's fantastic.
I don't know.
Jada Coleman.
If he gets one next week, I think you're going to think that's better than him. Jada Coleman.
Listen, Jada Coleman might be the most popular OU athlete, though, right now. And that includes every football player. Oh, okay. Dude, people love Jada Coleman, man. She's all over the internet. She was on CNBC and talking about NIL money.
And that's why NIL is great. But and not just for football players, it's for these other athletes who are very popular and make a big impact on campus. And they're not going to do anything professionally that can make them a lot of money. So this is a great chance for them to Just get a head start on life.
Dude, she's got a head start on life. I'll tell you what. And Billy Bowman has a head start on his life if he's not stupid enough to lose that girl. All right. Hey, before we get into breaking down the games, we need to thank our title sponsor, Brown O'Haver. Brown O'Haver has been waiting all year for OU Texas Week. It is here. They work for the insured, not the insurance company. They will work for Texas fans. They will work for Oklahoma fans. They get more money for your insurance claim. If you've had a loss to your home or your business, fire, wind, theft, tornado, call Brown O'Haver, 405-735-5510. They routinely make 30 to 40% more money for their clients than they do on their own. And they get that money more quickly. So give Brown O'Haver a call, 405-735-5510. Mention you heard them on the Boomer Bevo podcast and secure my employment at Brown O'Haver for another week. Kevin, where do you want to start? I will defer to you. Do you want to talk OU? Do you want to talk Texas?
Let's talk OU. I want to talk about your win yesterday.
It was the first quarter and the first play of the second quarter were odd.
Yes, the first quarter and the first part of the second quarter. I told you, weird half, man. It just
yeah, you couldn't have said it better. It was a weird half, and really it was two really weird plays. So the defense starts. We talked about the Billy Bowman interception on third down. Couldn't have been a better start. Guys were flying around, hard hitting, and you're just thinking to yourself, well, here we go again. The Brent Venables defense is still here. And then we give the ball back to them, and you get right out of the gate. They moved the ball really well, running the ball, which we had talked about how inept their running game had been. They were running the ball, breaking off some big runs, and then they hit Noel with a 51-yard pass where it looked like Key Lawrence was literally I think he had a good game, I guess. I mean, outside, but it looked like he was running in the complete opposite direction of the receiver.
Yeah, I just wonder if they saw something on film that, hey, they line up in this set, the receiver runs this route, and he was jumping that based on the film. He just seemed a little lost there.
And you're right. And you don't know, did he expect him to hit it to the corner? It was off-putting, right? I mean, the guy ran wide open for a touchdown. And then the first or second play of the second quarter, another 67-yard pass play to Higgins. And again, it was like we had a 2-deep safety set, and it was literally like they just ran to the sidelines as fast as possible. Like it was like, and in a replay, it just looked terrible.
Again, because when I see things like that happening, especially from a well-coached defense, I always think, okay, your team prepares and you say when they lined up in this set, they run this play. Yeah. I think you guys saw that set. Okay, it's this play. And I would say it's like, no, we're actually running this play instead to counter what you think we're going to do. That's what makes the most sense there.
So that happens, and OU fan, we're texting back and forth to each other like, are you kidding me? Iowa State, like, what's happening? Then we just proceed to beat the tar out of them, like just beat them down, like including the 51-yard free running play and pass play and 67-yard free open pass play. We held them to 202 yards passing.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we talking about, dude? They on every other pass, they couldn't break 100 yards. I mean, that's crazy. Rushing, we didn't shut them down necessarily, but we didn't get blown out of 150 yards rushing. You'll take that.
It's more than I think Venables would have liked to give it up against a team like that. But you got to understand, right? And people have to understand this. When Iowa State plays against OU, or any team plays against OU, it's their Super Bowl, right? They're going to prepare harder. They're going to scheme harder than for any other game this season. And that's what you got. You got some things you probably hadn't seen on film. Once you adjust to what they're doing, and that could take a quarter or half sometimes. Once you adjusted to what they were doing, it was fine. You shut them down.
Here's the problem, though. And again, everything points to next Saturday, right? So everything means something to next Saturday. You're right. You have time against Iowa State to make adjustments, right? You can you don't have time against Texas to make adjustments. If they hit you on one of these, you're behind the 8 ball the rest of the game.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, because I mean, in some of those, they missed some shots, they missed some plays, right? They got down into the red zone, and you can see they just don't have elite talent. Yeah,
right.
With Texas, different story for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be a different story. So you've got to really be on point. You can't let them run free. It's my point. They are free runners against Texas, and they're going to burn you every single time. Offensively, DG, really solid game. Really solid game. 26 of 39, 366 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. How many rushing yards? 37 rushing yards on 8 attempts, which is 4.6 a carry for those keeping track. You can't ask. He did throw an interception. It was kind of a dumb play, I guess, but
yeah, he got a little greedy there, right? And I
think that's right.
His receiver.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to describe it.
He was upset with his receiver there. Just kind of weren't on the same page. I think was it Farouk kind of rounded off his route instead of cutting sharply. He threw it to where he thought he was going to cut sharply. He rounded it off and got intercepted. But I think the decision wasn't great. But overall, I mean, you got to love what you're seeing from Dylan Gabriel if you're an Oklahoma fan. And
this was the most confidence I've ever seen him play with, and the most passion I've ever seen him play with. When he scored that touchdown rushing in, he's never going to be this guy, so that's not what I'm saying. But there were echoes of a Baker Mayfield, right, in terms of just intensity. He was like, it's like he's been reading the message boards. And we talked about this, and you're like, how can a Sooner fan be down on Dylan Gabriel? There still are. I guarantee you, at 26 to 39, there still are. But there was a contingent. I guarantee you, from the way he responded on that touchdown, it looked like I've been reading the clips, and I'm coming out to get Iowa State and you. Like I am here, and I'm not going anywhere. And I'll tell you what, to take that level of confidence, you have to have it. This is what I was talking about in the pregame, right? Oklahoma has to be ascending going into the Big 12. Going into Cotton Bowl. We have to ascend into that game. We cannot whimper
into it.
Yeah, we cannot limp or whimper or sneak into it, or what all the words that indicate somebody slinking into something. We need to march triumphantly into the Cotton Bowl. And right now, I'll take DG. I will absolutely take DG. Running game, just not there yet. Just not there yet.
Yeah, you still haven't been able to pop the big runs. I do give the staff credit for sticking with it, though. 41 rushing attempts. But yeah,
what was the total rushing yards? I didn't write that
157 rushing yards total.
That's just not
off of 41 carries, right? Yeah.
No, it's just not where you need. Now, to be fair on talking about the breaking the big run, in the fourth quarter, Tawee Walker went on a 66-yard run where he rolled some dudes and looked really good. And they called that back on a really weak holding call.
It was just like, I don't know if that's obvious. Yeah, I saw the replay. I was like, I don't know about that one. Yeah.
I don't think that this game enters into I don't think this game is like a blatant example of Big 12 homerism, calling plays against us and, penalties. I didn't get that sense. Yeah. But that was in this case, to me, it was just a really bad call. So that's a 66-yard run, goes against Oklahoma. That sucks. But again, I'm just not trusting. Receiving, dude, I'm all over it. And how'd you like your former boy, Brendan Thompson, getting in the game?
Yeah, I saw that. His speed is clear, right? I mean, I don't think that's any surprise to anybody. Texas fans, we know all about that, how fast he is. He's just a guy that hadn't really picked up the scheme at Texas, with the routes and everything. He came from a really small school, but again, you just can't teach that kind of speed that he has. So, he had to slow down for the ball.
I was about to say, were you surprised Dylan Gabriel underthrew him?
No. Gabriel, he doesn't have the most elite arm strength out there. But no, and a guy that fast, it's really hard to overthrow him. Yeah. Right? I mean, if you put everything into it, he's so fast, he had to slow down. And
I think DJ could have thrown it to the back of the end zone, and Thompson would have got. That guy
probably would have got running. He's fast. If you have a faster guy on your team, I'm surprised. I know Anthony is fast too.
Anthony will take it. He only had one catch, No, yes, he only had one catch. But how about Mr. Touchdown? Nick Anderson with just another big play, and then Jaden Gibson with just a heck of an effort in the second half, just getting beat up and dragging guys into the end zone. Gavin Sawchuk shows up on the back end to give the final push. That was a great play. I'm excited about our receiver core. We were worried about it all year. We got dudes. We got dudes. I feel very comfortable. I've heard rumblings that Texas fan is a little down on your secondary right now. Is that
Yeah, a little bit down on the coverage from the safety spot, right? If you can get the safeties isolated in coverage, especially Keegan Crawford, one of the safeties, he's kind of a rotational guy, but when he's in there, he's the one who seems, to give up the big plays. Jaron Thompson can give up the big play too, because he knows what he's doing, but he is not the fastest guy in coverage. So I'm sure that'll be part of the game plan from Levy this week, is to try to get your fast guys isolated on those safeties. And Texas better get the pass rush on there, because if not, if DG has time to throw, then those guys can get open really against anybody if he has the time.
I like yes, I'm worried about the pass rush. I think pass blocking has not been a weakness. I think it's been pretty good for Oklahoma. What I really like is the introduction of the run game, the quarterback run game, because I do think it keeps you just a little off balance. Listen,
I agree. And when Teddy Lehman joined us a couple of weeks ago, he told us the same thing, right? That when conference play starts, look for DG to be much more involved in the run game, and we've seen that so far. Yeah, and if you have to account for him in the run game, like if you have to use a spy, that's just one less guy in coverage too.
Well, did you see the cool little play where he ran down the side or ran down the line of scrimmage and then flipped it out to Drake's dupes?
Yeah.
It's just those little tricks.
Option. Yeah.
Yeah. To be able to show that before Texas too, almost in a sense, play with Texas just a little bit. Like, you got to prepare for this.
Here's another thing you got to watch out for.
That's the kind of stuff that I really like to see. Look, we talked about it.
I
wanted to see a beat down, and outside of the first quarter in a minute, it was a beat down. Oklahoma was clearly the better team. It was never really in doubt. 2 missed plays are to me, it's the fuel that Venables needs to get on this defense, right? Stop reading your press clippings. If Iowa State can do this to you, imagine what Texas is going to do to you with 5 times better playmakers at every position. You cannot, misread stuff the way we just did. I think he needed that. I think those two plays alone are going to be the chum in the water that those sharks can eat on and feed on and be ready for the Texas game. I'm excited to see our secondary respond, especially against your receivers. I've been talking about it all year. I think that's the matchup right there. I love the fact that McCall is going up against Sanders. I think that's a matchup. I'm excited about it. What did Texas do against Kansas to get ready for this matchup?
Okay, well, first of all, before the game, we started hearing rumblings that Daniels hasn't been out there in warmups. I'm like, what? And then you hear, it doesn't look like he's going to play. Man, I don't know what happened. I don't know why he wasn't out there. They said back tightness. Really weird, man. I felt bad for the kid because I was excited to see Texas go up against him. Instead, we get Jason Bean, and look, he seems like a very capable backup.
He's a good backup,
right? He played pretty good against you guys. He had a couple of turnovers against y'all last year, but he played pretty good, right? He knows what he's doing. They came out with this kind of funky triple option that we hadn't seen. They popped a big play off the first play of the game with Devin Neal, who's a really talented running back for them. 26 yards. They ran that play twice, and it popped. Or they ran it a few times, and it popped every time they ran it in the first half, right? I don't know, man. They were explosive. You can see how well coached they are. But with being out there, I think it just really hurts them throwing the ball. And also, he didn't get help from his receivers, too. They had a few drops on some pivotal plays in the first quarter when the game was still close. I thought Quinn Ewers looked really good for Texas, though. He did get a little bit greedy. I don't know if you saw that, having that interception right before halftime.
Yeah.
Got a little bit greedy. He'll have to work on that. It's his first interception of the season, though. So not a huge deal. It's just it was just a little bit frustrating how we let them hang around a little bit in the first half. We had 350 yards of offense in the first half and only 13 points. So it was a little bit frustrating to let them hang around. So we go up, was it 13-7 at halftime, and we come out, and then they hit a big pass play on the deep post after we score. So it was 14-13. So it was a little close, too close for comfort. But man, we got that running game going with Jonathan Brooks. He was really impressive, man. He just seems to get better and better each week, right? He had 100 yards against Wyoming, and then 100 yards in our game last week, and then 218 yards off 21 carries with 2 touchdowns this week against Kansas, man. So I'm excited about the running game. That was really the biggest question about the offense this year. The freshman C.J. Baxter continues to come on too, 67 yards off 15 carries. And Quinn Ewers, man, is starting to become a bit of a runner. 7 carries for 40 yards and 2 touchdowns, including a 30-yard touchdown. So, yeah, man, I really loved what I saw from the offense. We did see Kansas break a few big plays in the running game. They were able to run the ball really better than anybody has against Texas all season, right? Devin Neal had 8 carries. Go ahead.
Yeah, what were those final rushing numbers for Kansas?
Well, the rushing numbers weren't. I mean, it was 25 carries for 124 yards. They were just able to break a few big runs. They didn't stick with it because they got down. Once they got down, then they had to throw. 8 for 45 for Neal, 8 for 44 for Daniel Highshaw, running back out of Moore High School here. So Jason Bean, 7 carries for 42 yards. So all in all, 124 yards off 25 carries. So still 5 yards a pop though. So again, something for Texas to work on. You talked about OU having some things to work on that got your attention going into the Cotton Bowl next week. Same for Texas. Got to do a little bit better job stopping some of that run. They do have some exotic stuff. Their scheme is interesting, man, because they can attack you in a lot of ways, right? Kansas, they can throw the ball especially when Daniels is in there, and they have some pretty, unique running concepts that can really put stress on your defense. I think even more so, it's different than what you guys do, right? I think what you guys do is a little bit more straightforward. These guys, they got to have you looking all over the field. You really got to trust your eyes. And again, I think once Texas was able to settle in and realize what they were doing, they shut them down after that. Very similar games between Texas and OU. 2 plays is what they gave up.
I am reasonably concerned about your running game. I do think in a lot of ways that's our best player on defense all year, Danny Stutzman. Kanik was back, so he was not hurt. So we expect to have our full complement of linebackers. Stutzman, Kanik, backed up by Lewis and McKenzie. But they will have their hands full with Jonathan Brooks. He is by far the best runner we've seen all year. It's not even close. The best offensive line we've seen all year. Probably with the best play caller we've seen all year. I don't think I'm overhyping that.
Yeah, I don't think that it's even. I don't even know who would be.
Yeah. So
second.
Yeah, I don't even. I really am. I'm not. I don't think I'm overhyping that matchup there, right? So, I also think this. Well, y'all did play Bama, so I don't know that it's the best defensive mind you've seen, but Venables he's up there. He's
as good as anybody. Yeah. Over Kevin Steele? No, I would take Venables over Kevin Steele.
But I'm worried about Jonathan Brooks, breaking those runs, because that's what we haven't had a lot of. We've had a couple. We're seeing and it's been very small. This is not last year. It's with the breakdowns in the secondary have not been the same, but we've seen a couple, right? We've seen some misses and whatever the case may be. You're going to see some of that. We haven't really seen it in the run game, though, in our run game defense, but we haven't gone up against Jonathan Brooks. And my concern is y'all start hitting those for a couple big runs. That's going to put our defense on its heels. We've been able to play on our toes, aggressive, attacking, cocky. The last thing I want to see us breaking down, be constantly in second and third because he's breaking off 7-8 yard runs. That's stressful. That's a stressful thought. To me, I think that's going to be, listen, I'm going to say things like critical and important and the key matchup a lot over the next week. And so people are going to
We're busting out all the cliches.
People are going to beat me up in the comments. I don't care.
4-quarter game,
Yeah.
all that stuff. Yeah.
And
the concerning thing is if Texas can get the running game going, especially early, then it sets up the play action, man. And that's when you see the Xavier Worthy, A.D. Mitchell, JT Sanders down the field stuff. Once that happens, then it's all bets are off from a defensive standpoint. And then you're just completely lost and everything. So
let me ask you this. How has your punt protection been? Your punt protection for your punts?
So far, so good. We didn't punt at all yesterday.
That's the best punt protection to have, is the one where you just simply don't
punting. Yeah, you just keep getting down the field and scoring. No, the punt protection the special teams has been pretty good so far. No issues there.
Because Peyton Bowen is an absolute stud. This is his second punt block of the year. He got through that line so incredibly fast that our players weren't even ready for the ball to be on the ground to pick up for a touchdown. He is a weapon. He is a weapon.
Shot out of a cannon. He was shot out of a cannon with that.
I think if Oklahoma needs a big play, a special play, whatever the case may be, I love the fact that he's on those, that he's, regardless of whether he's starting or playing a lot, that they keep him on those special teams coverages, because that guy is dynamic.
Correct. These are game-changing plays, right? Remember the 21 Red River game, right? Again, the historic comeback for you guys. And yeah, we got ahead because we blocked the punt. You guys are punting from near your own end zone, blocked the punt, recovered it right there, scored the next play. Those are game-changing plays. So, yeah, it's definitely something to look out for. And when you've got a talented freshman like that, it's just a great way to get those guys established, is by making big plays on special teams. So,
yeah, because he's going to have some mistakes against your receivers in coverage. I think that's just inevitable. He's a true freshman going up against, a Xavier Worthy who has made plays in this venue. We know that. We've seen it since he was a true freshman. And then A.D. Mitchell, who has been in national championship games and playoff games, an entire team that has played against Alabama in Tuscaloosa. So the environment is not going to be so big, I would think, especially for that group of wide receivers. However, and really your whole team. However, Oklahoma kind of has, we get to come from the underdog spot. And that's a great place for Oklahoma.
It's always comfortable to play from. You're more comfortable playing from the underdog. I think everybody is.
Everybody might be,
but play a little free. You don't feel pressure.
Maybe it's just because maybe it's just my blatant homerist. But I just love being the underdog, especially in the Texas game.
It's very rare for you guys to be the underdog in that game, by the way.
Why does it feel like we're the underdog every year?
Yeah, that's just the mindset you guys create for yourselves.
I love it.
But last year you were the underdog, right? I mean, there was no Dylan Gabriel, right? But honestly, before that, when's the last time you were the underdog in that game?
Were we not the underdog in 21?
Oh, you guys were undefeated, and we had 2 losses.
That doesn't matter. I felt like the underdog the whole time.
Yeah.
I felt like the underdog.
You were down 28.
I felt like the underdog until it was 55-48, Kevin.
Yeah.
I felt like the underdog. Until Kennedy Brooks crossed the goal line, I felt like the underdog. It felt great.
I'm bad that it did.
Oh my gosh, dude. All right. I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know what we're going to do for episodes, but we're going to do.
We'll be here, and you're going to get a lot of Red River Shootout content this week from us. Man, we're going to be all over it. We're going to be talking about some of our greatest moments. We're going to break down a game. We're going to be all over it this week, man.
Kevin, I want in tomorrow's episode, or the next episode that we do, I've been thinking about this. I want to break us down position group by position group, right? I want to see your thoughts, my thoughts on where these position groups rank, because I got to tell you, Oklahoma did not, at least I'll just speak for myself. This Oklahoma fan did not expect us to be as favorably competitive in position groups with you guys going into the season as I do today. Does that make sense? I still feel like the underdog, but I thought receivers, well, golly, they've got all the receivers. We don't even have a receiver. I can't even name. Now, all of a sudden, I feel a whole heck of a lot better. Running back, I think is going to be a clear check mark for you guys. But I just kind of want to go position group by position group, because I think those individual matchups are going to be fascinating. I think we've got playmakers, both schools, playmakers on both sides of the ball. To me, this is setting up as the best OU Texas matchup since 11, 12.
Those are both blowouts for OU.
No, I know, but going into the game.
But going into it, yeah, I think we were, I think we were ranked in 11, and I mean, you might have to go back to 08, honestly.
Dude, it might be 08. I didn't want to go that far back, but it could be 08. Like, this is turning into a heavyweight matchup. I mean, this is what this matchup is, and it's supposed to be.
Well, Texas hasn't held up their side of the bargain, for the last 13 years, right? You guys have always been ranked. It's just
from entering the game.
Entering the game. Correct. Yeah, I mean, it's the first time we've been undefeated going into the game since 2009. 2009, and a lot of seasons we've had multiple losses coming into this week. My biggest thing, real quick, just going into the game, I want to see how you guys respond to adversity, because I haven't seen you guys face any this season.
Very fair.
That's just fascinating thing to look for in this game.
I think the answer to that might be in the 7 games of adversity we faced last year. I think we can learn a lot from not being that good. And then additionally, you've got a defense that you can trust now. And that just makes the adversity a little more palatable. If you think you can get a stop, if you don't think you have to outscore Texas, because even in that 21 game, when we got down, we're thinking to ourselves, well, there's no way we're going to make a stop. Like, how are we going to make a stop against you guys? And even coming back, Casey Thompson still throwing bombs over the top to Xavier Worthy. I mean, what a throw he made to tie the game up.
It was good.
Oh, my God. And so to have a defense that you can count on, I think bolsters that, reaction to adversity. But I think you're right on. I mean, but Texas, what adversity have y'all faced? Wyoming? I mean, is that what you're referring to? Or
I'm referring to when we were in Alabama and Jalen Miro hit the deep shot.
Yeah.
And we were trailing late in the third quarter.
Yeah. Because in years past, y'all fold.
It's Absolutely. Over. Yeah, that's it. Okay, well, it was a nice effort.
Nobody goes to Bama and wins. Nobody goes to Bama and wins.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Right? You can, it's like, okay, well, we played hard. It was just like last year against Bama, right? At the end of the game. Well, we played really hard. We showed we can compete, but we couldn't win. We couldn't, So this year, at least in that moment, we were able to respond. And again, I know this Bama team is not the best Bama team we've seen, right? It might be one of the worst Bama teams we've seen in the last 13 years. But it's still a really tough place to play in that crowd, with those players, with that coach. So, it'd just be fascinating to see.
No, because you think about it, right? And the parallels, I think of the parallels to the 2017 game, So Oklahoma goes up and beats Ohio State.
Smacked them in Columbus.
And so now they're on top of the world. And to your point, you're now down in the fourth quarter to Texas. And you're thinking to yourself, man, well, who's going to respond? How are we going to respond? And it was Rodney Anderson had a really great game, but it was our 2 best players, Baker and Mark Andrews. Those 2 guys stepped up, to your point. And so, the parallels are really, really similar because they can pull on those reserves. And that's what I mean. Texas can pull on those reserves. They can look back and say, we've been there, done that. We know what we did to Oklahoma last year. We know what we've done to Bama. And I think you're absolutely coming from a sense of confidence that you can repeat a performance. Whereas Oklahoma has got to come from a standpoint of, we've got to make plays. We've got to be the aggressive one. We've got to come out swinging. Levy loves the deep shot. The deep shot yesterday was on full display by Dylan Gabriel, and he threw it pretty well. He really did. I mean, his worst throw was to Brendan Thompson, just because I don't know anybody outthrows that guy. Kyler Murray maybe can overthrow him. So it's just going to be, listen, dude, it's the greatest rivalry in college football for a reason.
That's why we do this.
This week is why we do this. This is it. Kevin, real quick, can you give us a Bijan update? Normally,
I don't. Yeah, let me see. Yeah. Normally we're previewing it. This game is probably in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, can you give us an update?
So yeah, give me 1 second.
Today at
Love to have
noon.
him yesterday, by the way. We would love to have him next week.
Today at noon, Baker Mayfield takes on my brother Jacob's New Orleans Saints for an NFC South tilt in New Orleans in the Superdome. Oklahoma's had very bad memories in the Superdome. Some good ones, but some bad ones. Is what's his name playing for the Saints? Derek Carr? Is he hurt?
Derek Carr, I don't know, man. That injury, I have not heard. All right, so the score right now, as of recording, is 20-7. Jacksonville is up over the Falcons. And let's see the stats.
Real quick, while you're looking that up, Derek Carr will play. Derek Carr will play for the New Orleans Saints.
Okay.
So those
that
two
division,
teams,
man, that's just a rough division to watch. It's just one of those games. Other than Bijan has 14 carries for 105 yards.
It's not bad.
No, that's a great average. No, 14 for 105.
5'6", 5'7".
And he's got 5 catches for 32 yards.
You know what? I'm going to say the same thing I said about Sarkisian last year. Just give that kid the ball. Like, what are we doing?
The ball. Yeah, there's no need to overthink this, right?
You know, he's never the problem with the running back, unless you're Adrian Peterson, coming off an injury, you're never going to be in as good a shape as you are right now. Like,
correct.
You know, if I'm
and Adrian Peterson, he's not human, so we don't even consider him in these conversations.
I mean, all he does is come off of career-ending injuries to rush for 2,000
torn ACLs and then lead the league in rushing. And remember, he tore it at the end of the season.
Oh yeah.
That's not
who's the guy I just saw the other day where he's going to be out until sometime in the 24 season?
Yes, because that guy is normal. He's a human.
Yeah, I don't even know who that was, but they're like, oh, he's out for, and he might not ever, you know. And so, but anyway, going back to I don't even know what we were talking about. I just lost it.
Give Bijan the ball.
Oh, I don't know. This is a little off the beaten path, but just I've always wondered about this. I think that the players union needs to do a better job of figuring out how to manage running back contracts. Because when they put in veteran minimums, it prices veteran running backs out of their position.
Correct.
Like they have it there as a way to protect veterans, to assure that veterans will make more money when they get signed. But the reality is, the minute that you get somebody, and Bijan will be different. He's not the best example, but really good, solid running backs, when they get to their second and third contract, nobody wants to pay them even veteran minimums.
No, not at all. Yeah, it is a really interesting market. It's almost like they should have their own contract structure just for that position.
Well, if they're going to because we talk about, hey man, give Bijan the ball, right? Just give Bijan the ball and get away. The reality is, if you give Bijan the ball 25 times, he's going to be out of the league in 3 years.
Correct. Yeah, you can't have him getting 30 yards a carry. Like, it's been a miracle that Derrick Henry has been able to stay effective. Right?
Yeah, but those are rare.
All the carries he's had, very rare.
But those are so rare. Derrick Henry, Adrian Peterson, those guys they're not normal. And then in addition, it just eliminates the really good players, because I don't even know. It just feels like the shelf life is so short that there should be a way to mitigate that for them as players. Because you take a look at like a Deebo Samuel, that dude doesn't want to play running back. He doesn't want to get carries. He wants to get the ball thrown to him out in space where he's going to get tackled by a 190-pound corner instead of a 300-pound lineman.
And then getting cut down by linebackers at the same time. Getting wrapped 100%. Up high and then getting hit in your knees every play.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a good runner, a powerful running back.
I'm not saying I don't have an answer to that. I'm not saying I have an answer to that. I don't know anybody does, but I think it's something that's worth exploring, and maybe they have. I don't know. Have they talked about that before?
I haven't heard anything. They got to figure out something, though. Yeah, because these guys are getting, like you said, they're out of the league quickly. And they're not getting the money that their talent and ability warrants.
No. It's it's kind of weird. All right. Listen, this is going to be a hell of a week. This is what we live for. This is what Oklahoma, Texas is about. Kevin, I'm very, 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 very effing fired up. So let's freaking go.
Let's do it, man. Welcome.